Hello, I'm Seth. Behind the camera is Tobias. We are from Nelson Tiny Houses, located in beautiful Nelson, British Columbia. Today we're extremely excited to share with you our latest tiny house. It's an Acorn model. It's permanently bound to the trailer. The footprint of this tiny house is 8 feet wide and 18 feet long. That's roughly the size of the trailer. It's about 13.5 feet up to the peak from the ground. It is fully registered, licensed, insured through ICBC, which is our provincial insurance registration company. As far as we know, it's the first tiny house to be recognized on the provincial level in Canada. This house has solar capabilities, so it can go off-grid, has a lot of propane appliances. We really went all out on this house. We didn't hold back when it came to quality. We tried to source locally as much as possible. So we're really excited to share with you this house. We're going to do a quick tour of the inside. And then for those of you who want to stick around and go into a little more detail, we'll go into the nitty-gritty after that. In the meantime, we're going to scroll some of the features that this house offers. And after that, I'll meet you back around by the porch. Welcome to the front of the Acorn House. It's got a nice foldable porch here made out of cedar and metal. And when you're traveling, it also protects the glass of the door and has the little license plate. It's got a little adjustable leg. And in reality, you don't even really need the leg. These chains are strong enough to hold it. And there's a little outlet there and a nice little light. Let's go inside and have a quick tour. When you come in, you go right to the mud room. We can take off shoes here. Hang up our jackets. Take our mittens off, put them there, our hat, put it there. And then when you walk into the main room, you walk right into the kitchen, dining room area. Over here we've got a table that adequately fits 3 people. Over here you've got your counter, double kitchen sink. Behind these 2 little doors is a full pantry. Underneath the counter is a bit of storage. There's shelves over here, and there is a refrigerator under here, and a bit more storage under the sink. Behind me is a full propane 4-burner stove with an oven, and there is a little exhaust fan here. And then for your entertainment purposes, you walk over here, and this is kind of the cozy spot of the house. This is where the heat source is located. And over here is where you can put your laptop and watch movies. There's also a car stereo, and that is hooked up to some speakers above. There's also, behind Tobias, there's a flat screen television. It's hiding behind a mirror. So you can easily hook up your little device and watch your movies. And then when you're done watching your movie or reading your book, you simply lower this ladder and up you can go to the bedroom. This ladder also unhooks here and hooks over on the bar on the second loft. That loft is about half the size of the sleeping loft. It's more for storage or a little meditation spot. Put your plants. For now, we'll show you the bedroom. So welcome to the loft in the Acorn. There's a queen size bed up here. There's two dormers that each have an opening window, which gives really excellent cross ventilation. Behind me are some bookshelves. There's some natural wood. We always try to put natural wood somewhere in our houses just because it adds such a nice touch. Light switch, outlet. You can also turn that light on when you're coming up the ladder. And there's another switch here that turns on the lights down below. I'm about 6'5", and I'm really comfortable up here. So I feel like most people would probably be comfortable. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you need to go to the bathroom, I'll show you where you have to go. So the bathroom is just located at the front, towards the front door. It's what they call a wet room, which means everything in there gets wet. There's a light in there, a window, RV toilet, a little box for your toilet paper to keep it nice and dry, and then the shower is on this side. Shower is just here, shower valve, and you're good to go. If you want to stick around for a more detailed tour, please do. We're happy to show you some of the nitty-gritty parts of the house. Yeah, we'll see you soon. I just need a couple minutes. So thanks for sticking around. Now we're going to go into a bit more detail as to how we built this house, how things work, and a bit of our philosophy here at Nelson Tiny Houses. We really believe strongly in quality and making things to last. We believe that's, quite a responsibly green thing to do, and of course just providing people a tiny house to live in, because that in itself is quite a green statement. Just saying that you don't need all the junk, you just need a beautiful little space to call home, and not only beautiful but very warm and practical. In this house, we decided to go with a soy-based spray foam, and we put it in the ceiling, the walls, and the floor. And we did that because it gave us the highest R value that we could get, and it also added a lot of strength to the rigidity of the building. We ended up with R30 in the floor, 20 in the wall, and 30 in the ceiling, which was more than adequate for a space this size. We also went for smaller windows in this particular house because we knew it was trailer bound and that it needed as much strength and rigidity as possible. To heat this house, there is this little Propane Dickinson. They're originally a marine heater. They're made right here in BC, in Surrey, BC. This particular one pumps out about 11,000 BTUs, which again is more than enough for this space. But with that soy spray foam, it really creates a super tight unit, which means then you need to make sure that there's some air exchange. We went with a fantastic fan, is what it's called. It's from an RV company, and somehow it sucks air out and blows air in at the same time, and it really does a good job of keeping the air moving. And there's also an exhaust above the kitchen stove. The other thing with the spray foam is that you don't need any roof ventilation, which is pretty important with these tiny houses because you don't have a lot of space up there. And this way you could fill it all up with insulation. Another thing that we decided to do was keep all of the plumbing and the gas lines inside the house. So they're all underneath the baseboards, basically. There are chases. You'll notice for a tiny house it has very large baseboard, but that's because all the plumbing is in there, just to ensure that it doesn't freeze. And then under this little bench here is a fresh water tank and also a little 12-volt water pump. That's to make it so you can go off-grid for a while. You could fill that tank up and it would be good to go for a while. If you didn't want to do that and you had a permanent water source, you could plug it directly into the Rinnai on-demand hot water heater, which is also propane, and it is in the exterior closet of the house, which is behind the pantry here. And even if you did that, it'd probably be a good idea to leave this tank, unless you needed that for more storage. If you left that tank, you could use that as kind of a preheating tank, which is kind of a no-brainer in my mind, to have a preheating tank inside your house somewhere. So that pump was 12 volt, I mentioned, which means that, yeah, there are batteries somewhere. They're also in this closet, and they're hooked up to the solar panels. Up here is a converter, which makes it so when you are plugged into permanent power, that power also trickle feeds the batteries in case there's not enough sun. And there's basically two circuits running in this house. There's the 12 volt and then the normal 110, 120. So you'll see in places where there are these little RV lights, and those are run by the batteries. And then there's also some fans that are run by the batteries, and the pump, and yeah, lights everywhere. And the other thing that runs off the 12 volt battery, of course, is the car stereo. We figured since this house has wheels, that of course it should have a stereo. And in fact, I'm really sold on the car stereo in the house. I think I want one in my house. It doesn't take up any space, and you can put the speakers in the wall. In this case, there's two up above me in that little loft, and then there's two in the dividing wall up there. And then also this little shelf folds down when you're not using it, just for more space. When you are using it, you can put your laptop, your iPad, whatever, hook it up to the HDMI cable, and then watch movies or whatever you want on the flat screen television, which is right here. And then it also kind of pulls out so that you could watch it from the kitchen area. And there's even a DVD player in it. And this can run, there's a little inverter back there, so it can run just when you're off grid, off the 12 volt system as well. If you didn't want a TV here, you could easily make this a medicine cabinet. And there's a little outlet there. You could charge your toothbrush or your shaver or whatever. So there's also some storage in this house that we didn't show you in the first part of the video. One thing, this propane stove, if you notice, it's sitting a bit high. It's fine for me. The reason why it's high is because we had to put it above the wheel well of the trailer in order to push it all the way against this wall. So in case someone shorter ends up here, we put a drawer down here that you can store things in, but you can actually also use it to stand on while you're cooking. And then behind me, there's a full closet here. It's got a couple bars in it and a shelf. Pretty adequate amount of space there. While we're here, I'll show you a couple of little details in the wet room that we didn't show you. There's electricity in here. There's two lights. There's a 12 volt and then the normal 110, 120 light. And because of that, we wanted to be on the safe side and just ground all of these sheets of metal. So it's all ground to the trailer, just to be safe. This window opens in here, and this is just an example of kind of adding old material. This is old, like, I'm gonna call it Georgian glass. It's got chicken wire in it. And on that note, we'll show you a couple other features where we try to incorporate some older material in. So when you first walk into this house, you notice that the mudroom shelves are made out of this oak, and it is actually wood that's from an old church pew. There was a church in Nelson that was doing a reno and getting rid of some pews, and so we thought we could use them in a tiny house. And I feel like they look pretty good. And we also use them on the shelf that's back here. It's the same oak. There's some nice little features in it that you just don't find in new stuff very often. The other interesting wood in this house, and on the outside of the house we use some as well, is all of this dark wood. It's actually from an old giant beer barrel that was behind our house. Someone was using it. They bought it in the 50s used from the local brewing company, and they were using it as a water tank. And then last year they switched to plastic, and so they said we could have it, and we dragged it out of the woods and scraped all the moss off and planed it down. And the reason why it's black like that is that the metal rings that were holding it just bled through the fur and left it black. It's a really good example of how Mother Nature can do things even better than we could sometimes. Like I don't think we could make it look this beautiful if we tried. So we tried to put that as many places as we could. So I think that about sums up the inside. We should go back outside and check out some of the features of the outside, and then also look into the utility closet. It's kind of the guts of the house, and we'll wrap it up there. So here we are at the hitch end of the house. I'll just mention a couple things about building these tiny houses that are meant to stay on a trailer and be driven all over the place. You kind of have to think of it in a different, you got to shift your thinking of how the water always flows from the top of the house to the bottom. Of course it does do that when it rains, but also when you're driving down the highway at 85, 90 kilometers an hour, you shouldn't go 85 or 90 miles an hour. That would be dangerous for sure. Basically it's kind of like the front of the house is the top of the roof as well. So water is going to hit this whole entire wall, and then it's going to run down the side of the house this way. So when you do your shingling and put metal on, everything just has to be extremely tight. Also when you're doing all your flashings and all your trim work, everything just needs to be really well sealed. The other thing about these houses is we only have 8'6" wide to work with if you don't want an oversized permit. So you don't want to put a lot of that into your overhangs, because then you're losing your inside space. So there's not a lot of overhang on these tiny houses, which from a building perspective, it's not ideal, because rain is then going to hit this whole wall. There's basically no protection from the elements from this soffit. So it's just another reason that everything has to be really, really tight. It pays to pay attention to details with these houses. To get the ICBC registration, we had to add running lights. You can see there's 3 at the top and then 2 at the outermost sides. And then we had to do it on the back of the trailer as well. And they're all hooked up to the trailer lights. They're basically just running lights. They also asked us to take it to the transfer station and get it weighed and make sure that the trailer could handle the weight of the house. And they did a full inspection on the trailer. They measured everything. It was pretty easy to get the ICBC registration. And now I guess we'll show you the closet, the utility closet. Under here are the propane tanks, just like in a normal RV. And then behind this door is a Rinnai on-demand water heater. And this is what you would, if you had a constant water supply, you could plug directly into that. This is the water pipe that feeds the tank. The batteries are under these sealed cases, and they vent out, and they also have a drain that goes out to give ventilation for them. And of course you can see the back of the converter and the solar kit display is there as well. That's about everything in there. So to wrap up our tour, I just want to mention one more thing. This specific house is totally road ready, and it is ready for you to take it wherever you need to, even if it's northern Canada. It's completely winterized and ready to keep you cozy no matter where you are. Or if you want to go the other way maybe and go to Mexico, that would work as well. That would be my personal choice. This house has also been road tested. We drove it from Nelson to Calgary and then back again. It's about 9 hours each way, and it was a joy to drive. Everything worked well. It was fun to watch the reactions of people's faces when they see a beautiful little tiny house going down the road. We are totally excited to be building these houses and to be sharing them with you, and it's an honor to be part of this movement. We believe in it, and we think it's the direction that we all need to be going towards. This specific house is for sale, and we also build to custom order just about anything you can imagine. So give us a call or send us an email. Check out our website, nelsontinyhouses.com. Thanks again.